So I recently had the first get together at my house of an 8-week boot camp bold breakthrough that I'm running with a group of about, I think, 17 guys or something like that. And there's one thing that I covered in there or talked about during our Q&A that I want to highlight here in today's video. And we were talking about, like, how do you need to set structure for going after a big goal? Just slight context, I was focusing on the 12-week year framework. It's a book, not my book, just a book that's really good implementation framework. And a part of the premise of the 12-week year is try to accomplish in 12 weeks what you were going to try to do in 12 months. And then what I synthesize that with is a few other things. 10x is easier than 2x. So going for a big, massive goal, much bigger than where your current goal is, using it with a 12-week year framework to shorten it all so that it creates a lot more urgency, and then focusing on one specific outcome, your North Star, meaning it's like the one big thing. If you accomplish it and you hit it out of the ballpark, it would make your entire life dramatically better. And usually all of us have that like one thing, right? Now, in discussing that, that's the context. In discussing that, one of the conversations that came up was about fitness for some of the guys, getting into the best shape of their life. And I was sharing how when I do 75 hard, I'm doing it for the 6th time now. So I've done it 5 times, I'm doing it for the 6th time now. I love it. And what I was sharing is the first time that I did 75 hard, I was fitting 75 hard into my life and figuring out how to do it, how to stick to it, and it was genuinely hard. By my 4th time of doing it, I remember this distinctly. I had this complete mindset shift where I said to myself, I'm not fitting 75 hard into my life. My entire life is going to fit around 75 hard. That's what I think of and plan first. That's what I focus on and execute first. And then everything else fits in after that. And I shared that because if you, as an analogy, for if you truly want to accomplish something big, meaning making a ton of progress within 12 weeks on a big life goal, one, it is possible. I've done it many times. I've seen many other men do it many times. But 2, you're going to have such an intensity, focus, and intentionality on it that it goes from you trying to do it to your life has to fit in around you doing it. Meaning it displaces everything first, right? Like it gets priority, true, real priority. And while this might sound overly simple, what I can tell you is that if you lock in on taking action on a goal with that kind of mindset around that one specific thing and whatever actions are needed to execute on creating big progress, big growth in 12 weeks or less, that is how you assure that you're going to have real significant progress in 12 weeks or less. And I'll close with this. If you think about somebody who you would consider ultra successful, could be somebody that you know at scale, like through social media, the internet, or it might be somebody that you know in person. Think about how they operate, or just imagine how you might think that they operate. And I bet you will, on some level, intuitively and instinctively think or believe that that person probably has a high degree of like what I call gravity, where they are planted firm in what it is that they are going about doing, what their purpose is, what their focus is, and they let the world revolve around them. You with me? Men who are not highly successful, and the way I'm saying highly successful here is simple for the purpose of this video, is men who set goals and then consistently hit them. So this isn't about a specific dollar amount. This is about all areas of your life, and it's about hitting goals and hitting them. That to me is truly one of the true spirit of success, is setting a target and then hitting it, right? Men who are not successful in that sense, oftentimes are very reactive to everything going on in life. They don't have clear priorities, goals, structure, boundaries, and they don't see themselves as important enough and valuable enough to say no to many things, to not feel obligated to get caught up in other people's drama and problems, right? And so they're always being caught up in something, reactive to something, etc., 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 but they're not putting time into and building a structure around and setting boundaries around effecting into the world their vision, their goal, their desire. But if you think of people who are men who are ultra successful, it's almost like we intuitively immediately realize, yeah, that person probably takes their time pretty seriously, respects their time, doesn't have their time wasted, doesn't have their energy wasted. So then think about this. If that's how you already instinctively and intuitively can imagine a man who's ultra successful is probably operating in their life, then by sheer logic, you won't become an ultra successful version of yourself unless you start operating in that way now, right? Because it's be, do, have. That's the sequence. And most people have it completely backwards. Have, right? Do, then be. That's not how it works. It's be, do, have. So think about how an ultra successful man might be handling his affairs, and then begin to handle your affairs in that way. And the one thing that I can tell you that all ultra successful men have in common, that I've had the fortune and the opportunity to meet, work with, network with, collaborate with, etc., is one thing that they do all have in common is that when they have a very clear goal, generally speaking, the rest of the life fits in around that. And there's something to be said for that.